So we have more and more shocking information that keeps coming out surrounding the UK's push for this mandatory digital ID. Most of you guys might have saw this interview that Keir Starmer gave us yesterday. Let's not forget that literally weeks after Keir Starmer was elected, he was having private meetings with yours truly, Bill Gates, as well as Larry Fink. And I think there's some really interesting connections to draw here with yours truly, Tony Blair, because the narrative surrounding this UK digital ID keeps changing. First, it wasn't going to be mandatory. And of course, it was just to tackle the workforce, so to say. This is what they were telling us about this digital ID. They were telling us, please ignore the new rules that were just passed that allowed the HMRC to raid your bank account if you don't pay your taxes on time. They said, ignore the white paper that the Bank of England wrote, where they very articulately detailed a plan that they could use to steal your savings if there's a banking crisis. They said, ignore all of this. None of this is relevant to a digital ID. They said, don't look at what's happening in Vietnam with 86 million bank accounts wiped out of non-compliant citizens who refuse the digital ID. We were told, ignore all of that. The UK's digital ID has nothing to do with it until this interview came out yesterday.
In India, I think it's 1 billion people have digital ID. It's been taken up on a voluntary basis in huge numbers.
Oh, just wait a second. There's a fact check here that we have to make, because the digital ID in India, it wasn't necessarily voluntary like Keir Starmer just said. Let's break down what actually happened in India. So what happened in India was, it's a long story, but I'm going to try to simplify it. So I think in 2016, India came out and cancelled all of their 500 and 1,000 rupee banknotes literally overnight. Now, again, this shocked a lot of people. A lot of people were like, hang on a minute, what is going on in India? Those banknotes make up something like 85% of all of the currency in circulation. But it was wiped out overnight, and naturally people were protesting this. They were saying, hang on a minute, that's the money that we rely on. And again, while we're talking about this pivot to digital IDs, what happened in 2016 was all these banknotes got erased. 86% of currency in circulation was essentially expired overnight. And all of the people of India were forced to take this money to the bank and try to exchange it for the new notes. But plot twist, oh, what a coincidence. There wasn't enough new notes for all of this demand that came from the 86% of currency being wiped out. So what happened? More digital payments, coincidentally, were sprung up in India. And this leads us into the transition into the digital ID being rolled out in India, because it's not exactly true to say that the digital ID in India was not mandatory, because we can see if you wanted to get money from the government, look at this, mandatory linking for government subsidies. So to get government subsidies in India, you had to link your digital ID. Isn't that just interesting? Again, quick little fact check. We've got more to talk about with India in a moment, but I want to play the rest of this clip because it kind of reveals the truth about what is actually happening in the UK.
It means that you can access your own money, make payments so much more easily than is available with others. So I think now we need to go out and make that case of the huge benefits that this...
So he just said there, the digital ID has made accessing your money so much easier. Again, it's voluntary in India, but again, see how this pivot has now, it's gone from the ID is going to help with immigration and the workforce, And now it's, oh, actually, it's about payments. Again, we've got a little bit of a deep rabbit hole to talk about with payments in a moment.
There needs to be a national debate about it. And I think that the more people see the benefits that come with this, the more, as has happened in other countries, people say, that will make my life easier, and therefore I want to get on with it.
Well, hang on a minute. Isn't there already a debate over digital IDs? I mean, Keir Starmer just said, hopefully we can get a debate happening in this country. Well, wait on a minute. Fact check. There is a debate. There's 2.8 million people who right now oppose the digital IDs. And let's see what the government responded to this record-breaking petition. They said, oh, actually, we will introduce a digital ID within this parliament to help tackle illegal migration. Again, this is the government words. I don't have an opinion on this. The government said, make accessing government services easier, and the digital ID will enable wider efficiencies. What are those other efficiencies? I do think it's strange that Keir Starmer says, oh, we want to just create a debate. Well, I mean, every time there is a debate in the UK, look what happens. Let's not forget, there's 540,000 signatures to repeal the Online Safety Act a couple of months ago. Everybody seems to have forgotten about that. But what did the government say? The government responded and they said, well, let me read what they say. I don't want to get myself in trouble. They said the government is working with Ofcom to ensure that online in-scope services are subject to robust but proportionate regulation. So they just said, look, we're implementing the Online Safety Act. We don't care about the petition. Screw it. Suck lemons. That's what they said. They didn't say that. Of course, I'm paraphrasing. But what's really interesting is Keir Starmer keeps telling us, look, it's happening. This is a mandatory digital ID. But the narrative is quickly, I think, suggesting some really interesting things. I think it's kind of saying the quiet parts out loud because there is this strange connection. I just keep bumping into. The more I look into digital IDs, the more I see individuals like Larry Fink and Bill Gates. This is Bill Gates speaking with Keir Starmer. And what's really interesting is Keir Starmer right now is in India. Again, he gave that interview saying here in India, there's 1 billion digital IDs. Now, let's not forget, who else has been to India spruiking the benefits of digital ID? I want to come back to the Keir Starmer clip in a moment, but let me remind you what Bill Gates, everybody's global expert in all disciplines, has to say about digital IDs.
The digital infrastructure just keep him richer. You know, a lot of people know about the identity system and the digital payment systems, and that the government, by taking virtually all the government payment programs now and digitizing those, that alone saved a lot of money and it created access on a more equal basis. But now as you're moving into the different areas, advice for farmers, registering their land, tutoring for kids, and the health records, connecting all of those, that's kind of a second phase. And we're just at the beginning now of the third phase, where these advances in artificial intelligence will come on top of that and make.
Oh, the third phase. Don't you just love Bill Gates's, high IQ accent, so to say? That's what a lot of people call it. But again, I think it's really interesting that, again, Bill Gates, close ties to India. Now Keir Starmer is in India, and apparently he's investigating the benefits of these digital IDs. Again, coincidences here, coincidences there. There are now coincidences absolutely everywhere. And again, the narrative here, this transition to digital IDs in India, it wasn't, again, I want to be careful with what I say, but the people were clearly protesting this overnight wipeout of the 500 and 1,000 rupee bills. Okay. This was, I've got a little bit of a quote here from an article to show you. This was 85% of all cash in circulation. It shocked everyone in 2016, but maybe this was the playbook. Maybe this is what they wanted to experiment with. Maybe, just maybe, They knew that to get a digital ID, they have to get more people into the online banking system. Again, that's just a speculation I want to talk a little bit more about later, but let's hear about one of the original architects of this digital ID. That's, of course, Tony Blair. He's been championing the idea of digital IDs since the mid-2000s. Yes, 20 years ago. He's been encouraging countries like the UK to get involved and start investigating this for 20 years. Let's hear what he had to recently say about digital IDs. Again, what's the narrative? Digital IDs won't be linked to bank accounts. It's not about monetary control. It's not about getting more money out of the citizens. Oh, no, no, no. This is all about making your life safer. We're going to get into who calls it more dangerous in a moment, but let's just remind ourselves what Tony Blair said recently.
Continue with business as usual, and change is inevitable. This is where technology, like digital ID, becomes critical. My institute's own analysis shows that introducing this in the UK would save at least $2 billion a year and likely more by reducing losses to fraud, improving tax collection.
Improving tax collection. There you go. That's a kicker.
And better targeting of state support.
Now, what even is state support? Again, what is that? What is this cryptic doublespeak that they keep using? But again, what I think is interesting is they keep telling us, oh, we need change. Now the people are demanding change. But again, who created the problem that the people are reacting to? Then you think that's interesting. Listen to what he said.
We cannot continue with business as usual, and change is inevitable.
Change is inevitable. We cannot continue with business as usual. We need change. Of course, the people are demanding change right now in the streets of Britain and Germany. But why? Is it because of something that the government created? Don't you think that's interesting? And now the government's walking out with this pre-planned, and as I like to call it, pre-packaged solution. They've been working on digital IDs for 20 years in Tony Blair's case. And he's openly saying, this is about collecting more taxes. This is about getting more money out of you. They're being very, very clear with their intentions here with this digital ID. I think it's fascinating. Let's rewind a little bit here. Let's go back to some other really interesting things that Keir Starmer said in the clip that I think has broken the internet over the past 12 hours. Because again, I want to play this from the beginning because Keir said some pretty interesting things.
On digital ID, let me be really clear about it. Firstly, we have made a commitment to do whatever we can to stop people arriving illegally in the United Kingdom. One of the issues...
Again, that was the original narrative, wasn't it?
...is the ability people have to work illegally in our economy. We have to do something about that. We can't shirk that or duck that. And we had a strong manifesto commitment to deal with it.
Manifesto. How many people use that word? Isn't that interesting?
I think the vast majority, if not everyone in the UK, wants it gripped, and we need to therefore take measures necessary to grip it.
So the vast majority of people in the UK want that matter gripped. Who created that matter? Again, problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem, they wait for the reaction, and then they give you their pre-planned, pre-packaged solution. Insane. Let's listen to what else he said here. It's interesting.
Is the ability people have to work illegally, and everyone in the UK wants it gripped, and we need to therefore take measures necessary to grip it. One of the things on digital ID that I do think we need to emphasise and make the case for, frankly, is the great benefits of digital ID. You can see from Estonia the speed with which people can access services that are available to them, which have been transformational, and there's great enthusiasm in Estonia for it.
Well, let's actually fact check that. Let's look into Estonia and let's see just how great and beneficial the digital ID in Estonia has been, because I think there could be a little bit of a fact check that might need to happen here, because I was looking into the digital ID in Estonia, and as we can see, Labour's blueprint for Britain is a gold mine for hackers and scammers to steal your money. I was having a quick look this morning. I didn't want to go too in detail here, but essentially, we've got some interesting figures here. Official figures reveal that citizens of so-called Estonia, again, e-money, lost more than 7 million euros to fraud last year, with 837 significant incidences recorded. That's a 30% increase, mind you. Let's have a little bit more of a look of what's happening in Estonia. We can see that they have a long history of, let's say, hacks, scams. We even saw recently Telegram. They had a lot of customer information leaked overnight. Just another advertisement for the digital ID. But we can see they've had issue after issue in keeping customers' private information safe. So again, has Estonia been a beacon of hope and freedom for a digital ID? I don't think so. Just another thing that makes you go, what is Keir Starmer saying and then planning?
Yeah. I think it's 1 billion people have digital ID. It's been taken up on a voluntary basis in.
Oh, on a voluntary basis? Don't you think that's interesting? He had to mention that. Now, again, what I think is interesting here is I think we're slowly starting to see the pivot. I think we're now starting to see the laws push through that is going to allow the government to, let's just say, enact on some of the things that they've been talking about. What has the UK government been talking about? Let me just bring you up to speed. Let me just take you throughout history over the past couple of months. So, of course, we saw this. We did a video on this a couple of weeks ago. We said, hang on a minute, stablecoin cap? Doesn't that sound like they're limiting the amount of money that you're allowed to save in your own account? So in the UK, they're proposing the idea of capping people's savings. They're saying, sorry, you can't use or hold more than 10,000 pounds of stable coins. Again, that's insane. It's Orwellian. It's horrifying. That's what it is. But again, it's not the first law or proposition or talk about this nature. We can see the Bank of England, they published this operational guide executing a bail-in. Again, for those who are not aware what a bail-in is, a bail-in is what happens when the banks are bankrupt. When the bank's loans go bad, they get their money back in two ways. One, it's a bailout. So we print the money, we indebt the citizens, and we give the bank that freshly printed money in a bailout. Or we do a bail-in. We say, hey, maybe we don't want to print the money and increase public debt. Why don't we just directly take the money from the depositors' bank accounts? And as we can see, look at this. They have a cute and pretty little 4-step framework of how they're going to do it. This is the Central Bank of England writing these 45-page white papers. Look at this. We have the contingency planning. So the bank talks about the different structures and how they're going to execute the bail-in. Then the resolution weekend happens. What happens on a resolution weekend? Oh, the bank's all closed. Oh, it's just a banking holiday. And then it happens, the bail-in period. Now, again, the fact that they're writing these little cute four-step frameworks on how to steal your money in a bail-in, I think this is something you guys need to pay serious attention to. And it's not the only thing that I think is a little bit coincidental right now, because I've got some even more very interesting clips to play for you guys when it comes to Larry Fink. Because again, like I told you, Larry Fink took a little bit of a keen interest in the UK just after Keir Starmer was elected. Don't you think that is a little bit interesting? I think it's interesting. And we've got a little bit of a rabbit hole to get to when we dive into that part of today's video. Because again, I always like to tell you, I don't think there's any coincidences in the world. I don't think there's any coincidences that Keir Starmer right now is in the UK. I don't think it's any coincidences that our good friends Bill Gates and Larry Fink have rubbed shoulders, not just on multiple online interviews, but in person with Keir himself. Again, look at this. World's biggest investor, BlackRock, goes on an assets buying spree in the undervalued UK. Why is that? Why does he think the UK is undervalued? Don't you just think that's really interesting? I like to always tell you guys, where there is smoke, there is fire. I think this is a really important quote to always be aware of. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And I just think it's awfully coincidental, don't you think, that we've got the likes of Larry Fink. Now, again, everybody thinks Larry Fink is, this good guy. They think that he's embracing new technologies. He's backing away from the ESG narrative. But let's not forget, he is right now the co-chair of the World Economic Forum. Don't forget that. Right now, I want to find an article that I think is a must-read on this topic because it's incredibly interesting. Larry Fink has been very, very clear about the fact that, look, he tried to distance himself away from that ESG narrative. He tried. And now what's happened? Well, now he's essentially pivoted back into it with being appointed co-chair at the World Economic Forum. I think this is interesting. And now he's going on an asset buying spree in the UK. Just another one of those things that makes you go, what's really going on? What's really happening? Just like this video here that I'm going to play for you guys. It's a short one, so if the audio it's not very loud. I'll spell it out for you guys after the fact. Markets like totalitarian governments. That's a direct quote from Larry Fink. Markets don't like uncertainty. Oh, no. Markets like totalitarian governments. They don't like democracy. Direct quote. Boy. And this is the gentleman who we've all of a sudden trusted with our money. Again, I saw something really interesting this morning. Don't ask me how, but 4% of the Bitcoin network is now in the hands of Larry Fink. I saw earlier today that Larry Fink's BlackRock Bitcoin ETF right now is sitting on 800,000 coins. Look at that. Almost 100 billion. It's been his most profitable ETF in history. 3.8% of the total Bitcoin supply is now held by BlackRock. And I think a lot of people are just trusting BlackRock. They're saying, he's saying all these nice things about Bitcoin digitizing gold. He's saying Bitcoin's digitizing sound money. We're just supposed to trust him? Come on, guys. I always tell you, never ever trust Larry Fink or BlackRock. I think he is one of the slipperiest people that you should not be trusting. Okay, he's very clear. Markets don't like free markets. They like totalitarian governments. Now we're trusting him to hold our Bitcoin for us. Terrible idea. I always tell you, if you're going to get into Bitcoin, you need to hold it yourself. You need to buy it in a way where you can hold it. Again, buying Larry Fink's Bitcoin ETF is not Bitcoin. It's trusting Larry Fink. This is why I always encourage you guys to look into ways to buy Bitcoin. I really like mining Bitcoin for one of those reasons, which is why I want to tell you about Blockware Solutions. They give you an alternative way to get your hands on Bitcoin. You can mine it with Blockware using their hosted mining service, or you can buy the Bitcoin mining rigs directly. Highly recommend you guys book a call with the guys over at Blockware because, again, just recently, that massive bill that was passed in America, the big, beautiful bill, what does it allow? Let me show you. Let's zoom in here and let's have a look. We can see capture accelerated depreciation on the Bitcoin mining servers that you buy to lower your tax bill. American miners can now write off 100% of the cost of mining hardware in a single tax year. That's right, 100%. This was a recent change that Donald Trump made in America with the big, beautiful bill. Again, if you want to learn more, highly recommend you guys book a call with the guys at Blockware. There's a link down below for you guys to book a call with them. Because again, I always tell you, buying Bitcoin from an exchange, it's not bad. It's the easiest solution. I understand that. But mining it yourself, hypothetically, nobody knows that you're mining the Bitcoin. I think it's a great alternative, especially when you get the tax depreciation write-offs. So again, check out Blockware. Don't trust Larry Fink. Why are we trusting these guys? Why are we trusting the Bank of England, who is openly saying, look, stablecoin caps could be a great innovative solution? And again, this isn't just a UK problem. I like to keep reminding you guys, this is a Western problem. Why is the UK creating a joint task force with the US? What are we doing here? My American friends, please don't get too complacent over there just because Donald Trump's saying nice things. I always remind you of this clip that came out a couple of weeks ago now. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went on the national news. He said, we're not going to continue buying Bitcoin for our strategic Bitcoin reserve. We are going to continue confiscating assets. Direct quote from the Treasury Secretary. Again, my American friends, why are we creating a joint task force with the UK? It looks like the most out of touch with reality country in the world, yet we're creating joint task force with them. Don't you just think maybe, just maybe there's something fishy going on here? Again, don't forget, 2 hours after Scott Bessent accidentally slipped up and said that, he had to go on Twitter and say, oh, well, maybe that was a slip up. We will buy Bitcoin. Maybe Keir Starmer is making some interesting moves and plans here with Donald Trump. I don't know. That's just speculation. Let's stay grounded on the facts. The facts are right now in the UK, people are looking for an escape. This is the 5-year Google search trends for people looking into VPNs. Let's have a look at digital ID. I actually haven't looked into this. Oh, that's a parabola. Look at that. Okay. It's going parabolic. It hit 100 on Google search. That means it's gone mega viral. Wow. Okay, so at least the people of the UK, they're looking into what a digital ID is. They're trying to sign a petition. They're trying to say, look, 2.8 million people oppose this. Now, that is a lot of people when you start thinking about how, I can't say that. So there's 70 million people in Britain. But I just want to remind you, I'm sorry, guys, that's a live stream. I'm trying to be really careful here. Channel was deleted a couple of weeks ago, and I don't even know if I can say what I want to say. How about I just show you some charts? Let's just say 3 million people opposing a digital ID. That's a lot of British people. That's a ton of people in the country of the United Kingdom opposing a digital ID. Let's just say that. I can say that. Boy. And I think when we start zooming out here, it's all going to start making more sense of why we're seeing this push. Again, I would encourage you guys, study what happened in other countries. 86 million bank accounts froze overnight for non-compliant citizens who refused the digital ID. That happened. That's a real article, believe it or not. Sometimes I just don't have words for how wild the world is getting. Again, a week before that, Thailand froze 3 million bank accounts. Again, this is why I always tell you, if you don't hold your own money, I don't think you own any money, which is why I'm such a big advocate of buying Bitcoin. Again, go and mine it from Blockware. Once you've got your hands on some Bitcoin, I always encourage you guys to put them in some of these. These are hardware wallets. These are offline. So again, this is taking self-custody of your Bitcoin. I always recommend you put your Bitcoin into self-custody. I've got this here is a Trezor Model 5. This cool little thing's got a touchscreen, super easy to use. Again, I really love the hardware wallets from Trezor. Fully open source. You can go verify every line of code with a Trezor, and you can even get yourself a 5% discount if you use a promo code Luke. And then I think another great option that is also very beginner friendly is the ledgers. I've got here the Ledger Flex. These are also great touchscreen options. Ledger's secure element chip actually is linked to the touchscreen. See, wallet that's secure element chip facilitates the usage of the touchscreen. So again, I really like Ledger as well. Super easy to use option, just like the Trezor. As you can see, you can get $10 of free Bitcoin if you buy any of the ledgers with the link down below. And again, first step of Bitcoin, take self-custody. What's the first rule of Bitcoin? Don't trust, verify. It's the first rule I always tell you guys about. Because I made a lot of videos in the UK recently, but that's because things just smelt fishy. And I think this video that came out hours ago from Keir Starmer just confirms all of the suspicions that we've had about them. The fact that now he's in the UK, look at this. What the UK can learn from India's digital ID. Huh. Don't you think that's strange? All I'm going to say is that where there is smoke, there is fire. And all I'm going to say, all I am allowed to say is I just wouldn't be trusting people like Larry Fink. Just my personal opinion. Who knows? Larry could be a great guy. I've never met him. Maybe he's had a positive moment. Maybe he's a good guy now. Maybe that's why he's embraced Bitcoin. Or maybe his Bitcoin ETF's a trap. Let's see what you guys think about that in the comment section. The bull run is coming, my friend. And this is, thank you, Brandon. I think that's what they've done here. They've created the issue. They've waited for the reaction. And now they've, on the little silver, let's call it a golden platter, they've offered us a little pre-planned, pre-packaged solution. Oh, digital ID. Some electric comments in here. All I'm going to say is, guys, stay really frosty out there. I think there's some really interesting things happening. I think the Bitcoin bull run is coming much quicker than most people think. Again, I want to check in on where the Bitcoin price is right now. I think the Bitcoin price rallying as aggressively as it is maybe a warning sign that people are escaping this digital ID system. Again, if we zoom out a little bit, people are running to sound money. Let me clean up this chart. I mean, Bitcoin's just gone relentlessly up and to the right since 2023 here. We've rallied from 16,000 to 125,000. I always tell you, I'm going to zoom out and show you the whole history, the whole chart. How could you not own some Bitcoin when the chart looks like that? Again, this is not financial advice. This is purely entertainment. But I mean, what are we doing here? Look at that. Bitcoin's at $119,000 today. I think it's screaming the quiet part out loud. People are racing for the exit valves. Please don't buy fake paper Bitcoin. Don't trust Larry Fink. Go and buy some Bitcoin. Put it in your own self-custody. Again, put it in a hardware wallet. And once you've got your Bitcoin 12 or 24 words secured on one of these, go the extra step. It only takes an extra 30 minutes. But you may as well, if you've gone to the effort to buy a hardware wallet, you may as well also buy a titanium plate for you to punch your Bitcoin 12 or 24 words onto. Again, this is the final, but probably the most important step when it comes to taking self-custody and sovereignty of your money. These plates are fireproof, they're hurricane-proof, they're flood-proof, and they're the only plates you should be using to store your Bitcoin 12 or 24 words. Check out what Stampseed makes. They've even got little compact 12-word plates. And they're going to give you 15% off anything you want to buy with a promo code Luke15. Again, Luke15, 15% discount. Go and get your hands on some of those and just be very observant, because I think we're going to see digital IDs released everywhere. We've got CBDCs coming in Europe. A lot of people have been saying that's just a conspiracy theory. There's no way the Western world would create a CBDC like China. No. We're very different. We're democratic. We have property rights. Stay frosty. I'm not so sure about that. If you want to learn more about Europe's CBDC, I did a deep dive on that topic recently. I'm going to put a link to that video up on screen somewhere around there. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the solution and the escape valve, as Christine Lagarde calls it, Bitcoin, did a recent video looking at how much Bitcoin I think you need to retire. I'm going to put a link to that video somewhere around there. Well, I said thank you so much to everyone who tuned in. See you all in the next one.